Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to ADU1's weekly webinar. We're resuming our city spotlights. Today, we will be going over ADU rules in, I believe, Huntington Beach. So thank you for joining us. I'm Helen with ADU1, also Retrofit 1 and Balcony 1. So we're going to go over some of the ADU rules. Again, for Huntington Beach, a lot of these still apply to, most cities wherever you are throughout California. And then I'll also speak a little bit on the new balcony laws, SB 326 for condos and HOAs, and SB 721 for buildings with 3 or more units. So thank you again for joining us. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask them in the chat and I will get to them soon. Just excuse whatever weird virtual stuff is going on. I am using a cool virtual background and testing out our new streaming software. So it just kind of makes me look a little funky whenever I move. But I will just be like in a little bubble anyways, because I do plan to share my screen and go over Huntington Beach's actual ordinance and table with all the rules. So again, if you have any questions, ask them in the chat and I will get to them after I stop sharing my screen. And we did have some issues with the last couple of webinars. So every now and then I will kind of pause a little just to make sure that you guys can see what I see. And if there's any issues, please let me know in the chat and I will check them more frequently than I used to, at least during the shared screen. So here we go. We will start. I will share my screen to, let's see, here we go. I believe this is it. Huntington Beach. And again, hopefully you can see this. I will try to zoom. I'm going to hop back over, make sure, yes, you guys can see it. Excellent. Let me see if I can try to make it a little bigger for you guys. I wish I could get rid of this. It's not letting me. Anywho, so this is the City of Huntington Beach ADU summary. I really love when they make these summaries because they just kind of categorize everything for you. They pull it directly from their actual ordinance, which are usually, much heftier, just like those typical memos and ordinance written, lots of jargon. So I love when they summarize it like this. It's just easier to follow for anybody that just wants to know a quick rule rather than combing through like 30 plus pages. And as you see here, it does say that, their rules, just as every other city, is pulled from the Housing and Community Development ADU Handbook, which is the California State Handbook for all of the ADU rules. It does say in the handbook, within those rules, that every local jurisdiction does not have to allow all of it, but they do have to follow within these rules. So that's when each, particular city can develop their own, but it's always within the state's guidelines. So you can always pull the state's guidelines for just basically the overall rules. However, you do have to follow your specific city's rules because they may or may not allow certain configurations or a combination of certain configurations. So we will begin, and today we will be going over the single family rules and your multifamily rules for the ADUs. So we will start with single family. So single family ADUs, it breaks it down into the types that you can do. I always describe that you can do attached and detached ADUs. In single family terminology, this means either for attached, conversion of existing space that's part of your primary home, part of the house, or it could be even the attached garage. Or under single family terminology, attached also means new construction that is now attached to the main dwelling. So that is something different that it has from multifamily properties. So attached can go both ways: conversion of an attached, area or structure, or new construction that's attached. You can also do detached ADUs, which interesting. So I guess in this one, they list it a little differently. I usually consider detached its own, whether it's new construction or conversion. In this case, they just give it 3 categories: conversion, whether it's attached or detached; Attached, which is like an addition, or detached, they're only considering new construction detached from the main dwelling, but it's all the same thing. So you can either convert existing space, whether it's attached or detached, or you can have new construction and attach it to your house. That's basically what single family homes can do, regardless of what each city calls those terms of attached, detached, conversion. This one, they just kind of broke it down a little more, which is nice. Then you can also do the junior ADU. The junior ADU, like all cities, is limited to a conversion of existing space within your house. It does say proposed, so in case you have a vacant lot and you are submitting plans with a proposed house, you can still also do it all at the same time with your ADUs and JADUs. So the JADU is, it must be conversion of existing space within the house. It can also be an attached garage as long as it's already there and attached to the house, or it can be just existing portions of your house, like a formal area that's not used, a master bedroom that you don't use because it, at least already has your bathroom. You would just have to put a kitchen with an exterior entrance. But these are the types of ADUs that you can do for a single family home. So in Huntington Beach, you are allowed to do it on all types of residential and mixed use zones. And then the number of ADUs that you can do is either, you can do one. Basically, always consider this. You can do one ADU. If you are also going to, I guess, take advantage of the ability to do the junior ADU, then you can do your junior ADU and an ADU, so it was, an attached or detached ADU. Sorry for my hesitancy. It just their language is a little different because normally cities, if you have a junior ADU, they require your ADU to be detached. So I just want to make sure that I don't say any incorrect information if they're allowing you to also do attached. And it looks like you can. So that's nice. This is one of the first cities that I saw that you can do a junior ADU and an attached ADU. Again, normally the cities require that if you have the junior ADU, which again has to be part of the house, they require the ADU to be detached. In this case, you can do an attached ADU. So let's say you convert an attached garage or do that addition style, and you can have the junior ADU. So technically in that one structure, you could have those 3 units there. So that's interesting. That's I forgot that Huntington Beach lets you do that. So that's cool. Or again, it can be detached as well. There's no minimum lot size, which is great. And the maximum unit size for the ADUs versus junior ADUs are a little different. Junior ADUs are always capped at 500 square feet. This is across the board. I believe even the state handbook says that. So no city is different. 500 square feet maximum for a junior ADU. If you are converting existing legally permitted space into an ADU, whether it's attached or detached, Huntington Beach does not have a maximum. So let's say you have a 3,000 square foot garage. I mean, I have yet to see that, but let's say you have one. You can turn it all into an ADU. But again, you are only limited to one. So you could convert all of that, but it would just be one unit. It doesn't matter how large it is for single family homes. If you are doing an addition, so new construction attached to the house, you are limited to a maximum of 50% of the existing square footage, not including the garage, which is nice, and up to 1,000 square feet max. So let's say you have a 3,000 square foot house, you're limited to 15%. Let's see, and up to, let me see, it doesn't say whichever is less or greater. But in this case, I would have to clarify if, let's say, you have a 3,000 square foot house, could you do a 1,500 square foot addition, or are you capped at a 1,000 square foot max? Normally, it says, whichever one is less or greater. Their ordinance may say it, and this is just a summary. So if we have time, I'll check for you. And let's see, if you are doing new construction detached, you are maxed at 1,200 square foot overall, which is also what the state ordinance says. I'll now switch us over to the multifamily ADUs, and I will get into the state exemption ADU as well. So for multifamily ADUs, this is where things are a little different. So this is for duplexes all the way up to hundreds of units. When it comes to the terminology for the type of ADU you can do, you can only do in Huntington Beach a conversion or detached. So you can only convert interior existing space of non-habitable space, such as tuck under parking, storage room, rec room, a garage. So you can convert as is, or you can do new construction that's detached from the main building. This is a little funky. We have been seeing this. The more cities that are coming out with their own ordinances, I think Culver City was even the same. They had this exact lingo, either conversion or detached. So in Culver City, there was a detached garage, but they still consider that under the 25% rule because it wasn't new construction. So Huntington Beach might be the same. So if you have a property in Huntington Beach, just let us know and we will check for you directly with a planner to see how they are going to interpret their summary here and allowance. Zoning, again, allowed on all residential and mixed use. So the number of ADUs permitted. So under conversions of this existing space, so notice the one that it does not have, like the single family, are those new construction additions. So for multifamily properties, no matter what city you're in, you cannot do new construction and attach it to the building. Again, like that addition that is permitted for single family homes. Multifamily, you cannot do that. In Huntington Beach, you can either convert existing space or do new construction detached from the building. No additions are permitted. You can do at least one conversion. So for duplexes up to 7 units, you can do at least one conversion. And I need to check with them too, if it's an and or situation for the 2 detached. It doesn't say anything here. So they may allow you to do both. To do your 25% of conversions, which really only takes effect after 8 units. So if you have 8, 9, 10, or 11 units, you can do 2 attached. So if you have tuck under parking or a large rec room or storage room that's part of your building and you have an 8-unit building, you can convert it into 2 units. If you have a 12-unit building, you can convert it into 3 units and so forth. New construction that's detached from the building, you can do up to 2 detached new construction ADUs. You are limited for those detached 800 square feet, and similar to the single family homes, there is no maximum when converting legally permitted existing structures. So there's no max. So this is where it would come in handy. If you have a 3,000 square foot, storage and rec room that's next to each other, you could split that up within your 25% rule. So if you have a 12-unit building, which permits you to do 3, and you have a 3,000 square foot storage room, you can do 3 1,000 square foot units, which is really great. You don't have to use all of it either. You can still save some for storage and use whichever amount you're comfortable with, but at least you don't have a cap on it. So here we go. So before I get into there, let me just describe the state exemption ADU because this is kind of across the board throughout the state. The state allows pretty much almost every single property to have at least one ADU, maximum 800 square feet, as long as it is within the 4-foot side and rear setbacks. So this is when, let's say there's a city that is putting, a very large building separation, which Huntington Beach actually might be 10 or 15 building separation. I'll check what they say at the bottom. But let's say they have a big floor area ratio requirement, lot coverage requirement, open space requirement, and it's going to prevent you from doing at least one 800 square foot ADU. This is when you're permitted to kind of show them the state exemption ADU that you can do and design. But it also still, I believe, must meet fire department requirements because it still must be safe, obviously. So if you have 4-foot rear and side setbacks, you can do a max of 800 square feet. So let's see. So your maximum height Obviously, when you're converting something, if it's a legal and permitted unit, there is no max height. You can use its, existing structure as is. 16 feet for the state exemption ADU. Otherwise, they're saying you are allowed, in this case, for single-family homes, the max height according to your zone. Same with detached. It's 16 feet, or your base zoning district applies. Front setbacks, we do get a lot of questions if you can build in the front that is up to what your zone says. And normal, what we see is sometimes the front setbacks can be 15 feet, 20 feet, or we get this a lot that it's like an average of your adjacent properties. So again, if you have a property here, a lot of these things really vary per property. So we can check for you where you are permitted to do your ADU and what size. Your minimum setbacks, 4 feet. Side and rear. And interesting, they're saying if your size or height is greater than the state exemption, so let's say you're going past your 800 square foot state exemption ADU and you want higher than 16 feet, you would then be subjected to your zone's setbacks, which more than likely will be greater than 4 feet. So if that's the case, it may actually prevent you from doing larger unless you just have a really huge lot. Then you may be able to do larger. You would just have to listen to or follow your zoning setbacks. Same for new construction on multifamily properties. The max lot coverage, this is when your state exemption ADU kicks in, because there isn't one as long as you're doing that within those parameters of the state exemption ADU, the 800 square feet, 16-foot height limit, and 4-foot side and rear setbacks. Otherwise, your zoning applies, and it looks like same for detached multifamily. So here we go. Here, Huntington Beach does have a 10-foot building separation. That means, let's say you have a house with a backyard. Your new ADU, if you're doing a detached unit, has to be 10 feet away from your house and 4 feet away from the back. So automatically you lose 14 feet between, the house and the rear, as well as 8 feet from your side property lines. So always consider this when you are picturing what size you can do. Same goes for multifamily properties detached. It is a 10-foot building separation. This, I'm wondering why they're putting a 10-foot building separation for attached when it's attached to the main dwelling. Maybe they mean for other accessory structures on the property. Otherwise, that doesn't make sense to be attached yet 10 feet away from the building. So they may mean from other accessory structures. Exterior entrances are required for all ADUs. The JADU can also have an internal entryway or not entryway, but a connection as they call it, because it still has to have its exterior entrance. The JADU can have an efficiency kitchen, which is just kind of like a micro kitchen, maybe like a hot plate, a sink, and like a mini fridge is fine. Full kitchen for everything else. Bathrooms required for all ADUs. For your junior ADU, it can actually share a bathroom with the primary dwelling. So that is when you would want to have an internal connection so they can access the bathroom. Parking, if your property is within a half mile to public transit, like a bus stop, you do not have to add any parking. And state law says if you are converting a garage or carport for the purpose of an ADU, you do not have to replace those parking spots either. You are allowed to convert a garage. However, if your property is within the coastal zone, we will have to work with you on getting a clearance first if you do not have any place for any type of replacement parking, because in some cases the coastal zone does require that. So coastal zone is an exception to these parking rules. Owner occupancy rules. There are no owner occupancy rules for any ADU. However, the junior ADUs, not only are you limited to 500 square feet, and it has to be an interior conversion or an attached garage, there is also an owner occupancy requirement. The owner has to live in either the junior ADU or the house. Short-term rentals are never permitted for any type of ADU. So I believe it's under 30 days. You cannot do any type of Airbnb. You can't sell them separate and so forth. So that is it for Huntington Beach. ADUs. And I will now just briefly discuss SB 326 and SB 721, which is your required balcony inspection new laws. This was passed in 2019, and you have until January 1st, 2025 to get your exterior elevated elements, so EEE, to get your EEEs inspected. So even though you have until January 1st, 2025, if you at this point can visually see water damage or areas of risk on these exterior elements, we recommend getting these at least inspected as soon as possible, because you don't want to carry that liability with you, knowing that this law has been passed. An exterior elevated element consists of exterior balconies, walkways, stairways, catwalks, anything that is kind of, protruding from the building and at least 6 feet above ground level. So if it's 6 feet above ground level, protrudes out of the building, again, such as a stairway, a walkway, a catwalk, a balcony, you have to get those inspected. The first step is a visual inspection. We may or may not use a camera that we can kind of make like a little hole. I forgot the size of the hole, but then we insert a camera. We have a lot of water damage and moisture detectors that we can insert to at least from step one, see if there's water damage. We have to check the flashings and your waterproofing and everything like that. This was created because of the tragedy that happened in Berkeley a few years ago, where a balcony collapsed and a lot of students passed away. Recently in Malibu, this happened, and I think even 10 or 15 years ago it happened in Malibu, the balconies crashing. So again, a lot of this has to do mainly because of water damage affecting, your joists, the decking, and so forth for the balcony or the stairs or the walkway. So you have to get these inspected. And if we do find any type of damage or repairs needed, we include that in the report and we provide that to you. And depending on the severity of the damage or the risk of the damage, you have a certain timeline to get that fixed or repaired. So it's something that really, it's for your peace of mind. It is for the safety of your tenants and residents. And again, this is for SB 326 covers HOAs and condos. Most of them will have to get inspected. And SB 721 is for buildings with 3 or more units that have to get at least 15% of their EEEs inspected. So not all of them, but at least 15%, unless we visually see way more than 15% with a lot of damage. We have to, so that way you are not liable for anything that happens, as long as you get it repaired, of course, because you are liable if something happens. So that is all for our broadcast today. We went over the Huntington Beach rules, as well as SB 326 and SB 721 balcony inspections. If you have any questions, call us or email. And even if there are balcony questions, I can route them to our correct person, or I can help you as well. So you can pretty much reach all our departments, from retrofitting, ADUs, and balconies. Through any number. We're the same team. We just have these divisions created to really specialize and help you with whichever project you're doing. So thank you again. I'm Helen with ADU1, Retrofit 1, and Balcony 1, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week or helping you with your property. Thanks so much. Bye, everybody.